this rather snappy, won't you? I have some very heavy thinking to do before 10 o'clock.
Hey, welcome to Get It Right Texoma. Normally here with a trio of Mike, Terry, and Trey, who's usually over there on that
yes,
on that
I'm
side.
not Trey.
No, he is not.
We have the same letters in our name, but we're not.
Anyway, Trey, he's apparently off somewhere doing time somewhere. I don't know. He's something. No,
Having
seriously.
some staffing challenges.
I tell you what, the poor guy, he's working like 95 hours a week. He hasn't slept in months.
How many hours are there? They're only like 9. No.
I don't know. However many hours there are in a week, I think he's working all of that and then some. Yes. So anyway, so there's that with him. But anyway, today is just myself and Terry, and we're glad to have you here with us. Be sure to like and subscribe to us on YouTube. If you're watching, obviously you're watching on YouTube, but be sure to subscribe to our YouTube page. And also be sure to follow us on Facebook, all of our social media platforms, and our website, getrighttexoma.com as well. Please be sure to check that out. If you haven't done so already, there'll be a little QR code there on the screen that'll take you to that. So let's jump right into it. Every time that we get together, we try to focus on a locally owned restaurant of some sort. And this time around, we're going to talk a little bit about Margie's Bakery. Margie's been around for a long time. And one of the things that they most recently became very famous for, the MAGA cookies that they created. They actually created this cookie that had MAGA on it, and it blew up online and became a big deal. And they sold tons and tons and tons of cookies. I had a couple of them. It was a good cookie. Yeah, it was a typical Margie's cookie. It wasn't anything outrageous at all. But of course, obviously, the connection to Donald Trump and the connection to the Make America Great Again movement stirred a little bit of controversy, although not nearly what you might expect. After all, they are in a very, I guess what you would call a Trump-friendly part of the country. Yeah. Being here in Wichita Falls, Texas. Very, very Trump-friendly.
Yes.
He won the election this time here by, I don't know what, like 85% of the vote or something like it. It's wild. So anyway, but they are a locally owned bakery. They're located on Caulfield Road.
Yeah, just right around the corner from here. Actually down a little bit, like a few blocks.
Yeah, pretty close to Caulfield and McNeil in that area. And I don't know what hours are open. I think
I'm working on that right now.
Are you?
I'm sure just like any bakery, they probably open early. But
yeah.
I guess. Let's see. Open more hours. Let's look. Yep, 7, 8. Friday they're open 7. Monday they're 8 to 5. And the rest of the week, the normal week is 7 to 5, except on Saturdays they're 9 a.m. to 2:30.
9 to 2:30. Yeah. Closed on Sundays.
Closed on Sunday.
So
there you go.
Margie's Bakery. Check them out. And
they got breakfast. They got lunch. They got obviously
that's the thing. They serve food.
They do.
I think sandwiches and that kind of thing.
Yeah, I've eaten there. It's been a while, but I've eaten there before. It's really good.
Yeah.
They got cakes and cookies and pies and all the other stuff. Of course, you got to get his pies, their pies. Not taking anything away from Margie's, but you have this relationship, so you got to So.
Margie's, you do a good job, but your pecan pie can't touch ours. I'm sorry.
So
nice try, but just can't do it.
But yeah, so we got them. They're Margie's Bakery and Deli.com. And of course, I'm sure they're on Facebook and the whole
they
bit,
are.
So.
They are.
But yeah.
So all right. Well, check them out. Well, so moving on here, local happenings going on around the area. The Harlem Globetrotters, surprise.
Wow.
Are returning to Wichita Falls.
But the Sugar Ray, isn't it Sugar Ray Lemon? Or no, not Sugar Ray.
Meadowlark Lemon.
Meadowlark.
I think Meadowlark's dead.
Yeah,
I think he passed away.
That is. I still have a memory when I was a kid.
Me too. That's who I remember.
And they probably, in some ways, they probably have bigger They had really good tricks then, but I'm sure they've got something similar and probably even better, more elaborate. I don't know.
For whatever reason, they've been a huge attraction here. And for those of you that don't live around here, let me kind of explain something. Sporting events in Wichita Falls historically don't go very well. If it's kids soccer, if it's kids baseball, if it's high school football, yes.
You got to make money on it.
But yeah, if it's a profit generating venture that you're into, because we've had semi-pro basketball here with the CBA years and years ago. We've had semi-pro football here, semi-pro baseball here. None of these things have succeeded.
Well, soccer, but I think the soccer deal didn't even get a chance because COVID hit I think in their second season.
Yeah.
It hit. And, of course, the first season, this is a new league and everything out of Amarillo and I think out of Lubbock. Or maybe
I think so. But they're, it just doesn't do well here. And because people don't support it, it'll show up. And initially it'll get a big push of support. The first couple of semi-pro football games here were huge. The crowds were massive.
They spent a lot of money to get
promoted that. They spent millions of dollars.
A couple of cars over a couple of seasons.
Yes,
and the same person.
Yeah, that was a
wow. I don't. What are the? Of course they bought a lot of tickets.
I'm sure they did, and it was a fluke.
Wow.
But it was an embarrassing fluke.
Yeah, it's I can't imagine being the promoter side of that. Oh my God.
How do you put that fire out, But anyway, so not for lack of effort. I mean, the people that have been behind these ventures have really put forth a tremendous effort, but the public support just hasn't been there. Yeah. So for something like the Globetrotters, now granted, they come here once a year. It's not a weekly thing or a monthly thing. It's a once a year thing. But they seem to do very well here. So they're going to be here, March the 2nd, 5 o'clock. I'm assuming they're going to be playing in the Kay Yeager Coliseum. That's where they usually do perform.
It's not at MSU. So that's the only other place.
Not DL League, no. They're going to be playing. I'm almost certain it's going to be at Kay Yeager, although that doesn't say, but it is going to be.
No, it does say Kay Yeager.
Oh, does it say Kay Yeager?
KY, yep.
Oh, okay, yeah. Okay.
Oh, wait a minute. Sorry, I messed you up there. Okay, there you go.
Oh, okay, all right. KY Coliseum, got it. So anyway, March 2nd, it's on a Sunday, 5 o'clock, Harlem Globetrotters. I'm sure tickets are available right now. As a matter of fact, if you'll go to WFMPEC.com, you can probably find tickets there.
Tell them we sent you.
Yeah. They're not going to give you 1 penny's discount for saying that.
So.
In fact, they're going to look at you and go, who?
Yeah.
So anyway, the 5th Annual St. Patrick's Day Downtown Street Festival is coming. Now, this is always huge. Street festivals do very well here.
Right.
Coming up Saturday, March the 15th. And it's going to be from 2 to 9, Bud Daniel Park. That's at 9th and Ohio, downtown Wichita Falls. You can get more info at downtownwf.com. Always, the downtown festivals have seen significant growth in the last several years and significant successes. And so people are latching on to those now. While they may not go out and pay $30 to go watch a semi-pro football game, but they'll go downtown to a festival all day long. So, and that's good. That's great. More and more downtown businesses are taking part and being a part of it.
Yep.
There's more and more businesses there to take a part in it.
That's it. Yeah.
So
slowly but surely, the downtown has been on the increase in the population, both residentially, and would be the commercially. Yeah, there you go. That's why you're a highly paid radio and now talk show host.
That's why I get $18.50 a week to do this. That's $18.50 a week just for the privilege of coming in the door. So anyway, it's a fee. Anyway, it's going to be a good time. It always is, and I really am glad to see downtown Wichita Falls is coming back. I keep telling people, I remember what it was like 30, 35 years ago versus today.
Yeah,
it's daylight and dark, and we're finally coming around to the realization that there really are some innovative things that we could do down there.
Yeah.
I think the city is finally coming around, from a governmental standpoint on some things. One of the things I still want to see done more is take some of this economic development money that we collect from sales taxes, go downtown and repair some sidewalks, repair more streets. They're reinstalling traffic signals at a couple of intersections downtown that were taken out years ago because the traffic flow had dropped to nothing.
Yeah.
Now it's coming back, and they're bringing those red lights back, and they need to.
Okay.
And matter of fact, there's an intersection right there at 10th. I think it's 10th and Scott. That if you're on the 10th Street side going east-west, you have the stop sign. If you're not careful, you'll get run over.
Yeah.
They come flying through that intersection. There's going to be a traffic light there. From the looks of it, because I was there at that intersection yesterday, and it looks like probably within the next, 90 days, they'll probably have a signal active there. It looks like they've got the pole installed, they've got the boxes installed, the control boxes installed. I think now it's just a matter of, they'll probably put up some stop signs or something to kind of get people used to the idea of stopping both ways.
Yeah.
But yeah, people will blow through that intersection like mad going down Scott Avenue. So, But anyway, it is coming back. More businesses come to downtown, and I think more things happening, and hopefully we have city government doing more to encourage and not discourage growth down there as well. Coming up on March the 19th, this is a Wednesday, it's the 2025 State of the Economy. This is going to be, I guess, a kind of a conference, 9 o'clock, Sykes Lake Center. I believe this is actually part of the MSU campus. Kind of the, I think we used to just call it the PE building or something like that. It's a structure out by the lake, right off of Midwestern Parkway.
Okay.
So that's going to be 9 to 11 on March the 19th. You've taken part in that before, haven't you? Or maybe it was Trey that had. I'm not sure if there's an admission fee to be a part of this or not, or for what there is, but you can find details online on that if you'll just Google State of the Economy Wichita Falls 2025. It'll bring you to it, and you can see some more details on that. Coming up again, that's March the 19th. It's on a Wednesday, 9 to 11, Sykes Lake Center here in Wichita Falls. You sent me a story the other day. And it was, so apparently Tennessee has enacted a bill. Can we throw that up on the screen, that image there?
It is actually up on the screen.
Okay, there we go.
Yes.
Tennessee bill criminalizes voting against Trump immigration policy.
Snopes, of course, reporting on it. And
yes.
They're doing a, quote, a fact check.
Yeah.
I'm sure they have no agenda. But that's the kind of the headline they're going with.
Now, hold on just a second. Look at that photograph. Do you think it's any mistake that they used that photo of him gesturing with his hand out like that?
Yeah.
Good Lord.
Yeah. Well,
people get real. Come on.
So, so basically, this is, they're rating it as a mixture of true and false. And basically they're saying what's true is that the Tennessee state bill makes it a felony for local government officials to vote in support of sanctuary policies protecting immigrants in the country illegally. President Donald Trump's administration has taken steps to weaken so-called sanctuary laws that limit local government's cooperation with federal immigration authorities. So basically, it does is what, if that's true, that's the wording of it that it voting for. Now, I'm gonna take this because I've read it. It seems to have that is true that if you vote for it, I don't know what I'm not sure. Is it free speech? And I'm not, no attorney, so I don't know all the ins and outs of this. But we have people that are advocating for all sorts of things all the time that are not legal.
Yes.
So just the fact that you've done it, that you've said, hey, I want to go against this law, and doesn't mean you have, but then if you write a law and the whole that body passes that law that's in conflict with federal, because the federal law has what's that, supremacy clause or something like that, that basically says that if it's in conflict with the federal law, then it's the federal law.
The federal law wins out, yeah.
So if, and of course we haven't been enforcing as a law. Now, of course, this is Tennessee only.
Right.
This isn't any others. This isn't federal or anything like that. But if you're passing a law that is against the law,
yeah,
then how does that work? And I think that's one of those things that has to be worked out in court.
It will. This
individual people, though.
Something like this sounds like ultimately it ends up in front of the Supreme Court of the United States at some point. Now, that could take months. That could take years. Oh, yeah. Who knows? Who knows how long that takes? But I will tell you this. The federal government has an obligation to enforce immigration policy in this country.
Yes, and it has failed miserably.
They have failed miserably for several years now to do this. It is worth pointing out, however, more illegals were deported from this country under the Obama administration than were deported under Bush, 45, or was it 40 or 43? I can't remember. I think it's 43. Yeah. George W. Bush. Right. George W. Bush and Bill Clinton combined deported fewer people than Obama did. If I'm not mistaken, that's the math. Those two presidents combined, one Republican, one Democrat, deported more illegals than Obama did. So we're woefully behind here in terms of enforcing our own federal immigration policies. And what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to let the law be enforced. We have to. It's not a choice. We have to do it. Yep. We actually have, and this is the thing, guys, it doesn't matter if 1% of the people who enter this country illegally are criminals, murderers, rapists, armed robbers, violent gang members, whatever their crime is. If 1% of them are criminals, it's 1% too many. Well,
but one could argue, I know it's not the most important part of it. Well, it kind of is the most important part. You're inherently breaking the law. You're a criminal. Of course, you haven't been convicted necessarily, but that you are breaking the law clearly when you are here and you didn't go through the normal process. But it's just it. But here's the thing: they say, well, they commit crimes less than well, it doesn't. That's irrelevant. They shouldn't be here to begin with.
Yeah, exactly.
And there's a process, and it's a slap in the face to all the people who have gone through the process legally.
That's right.
And that's obviously race aside completely, because we've let this our whole country. We've got a ton of immigrants. I mean, that's okay. We don't have.
That's fine.
Nobody has any problem with that. It's just the fact that you're breaking the law. And then,
most of your ancestors were immigrants to this country. Most of my ancestors were immigrants to this country.
But we're white, and so that doesn't count. But most of them from Europe.
I got English, French, Irish, German, and we think an Italian snuck in there somewhere way back when. We don't know how, but it happened. And it's a joke. But no, it actually is there. But anyway. Point being, I'm a mutt, for crying out loud. I am a genuine mutt.
Probably,
So, I get it. But here's the thing, though. You can't just leave your borders wide open and let anybody who wants to come into the country have no idea where they are, and then you have people who are criminals getting into the country.
Right. We've got our own we need to deal with our own criminals that were born here first.
Yes, so we need to.
And that are here legally.
We have enough crime without importing more.
Right. It doesn't. It has nothing to do with how many. It's the principle from the very beginning.
Right.
The root. What's the term? There's something legally. The fruit of. Basically, it's saying that the results of an illegal thing, no matter how bold or how honorable, are still illegal.
Right.
You can sell, do all kinds of drugs and sell drugs and then give it to to your church. That doesn't make that money.
Doesn't clean it up.
Right. It doesn't. No
Doesn't
matter
clean
what.
it up.
So that's the issue here, and it's. I guess I don't understand the thinking. I do. We all understand if somebody's true in their heart that they want to help people. I totally get that, but there's that. I think even those people, if they are honest with themselves, really understand that there's still laws to follow. And yes, it's unfair and whatever. It's when the political machine gets a hold of this and has now turned this into this thing. So, but anyway, all of that, we're going to spend money up front because all this effort with Doge and all that to try to get rid of wasteful spending and all of that.
Speaking of that, when Trump was running for president, one of the things that he promised to do was root out the waste and the fraud.
Oh, and now it's
government.
It's turning into some pay dirt.
And they're uncovering billions of dollars in waste
in one program.
In one single program.
Aid. What is
USAID.
USAID. Oh my gosh.
You've got billions of dollars in waste and fraud that's been uncovered already, and there's billions more to be uncovered. And this, guys, this should anger everybody. I don't care where you fall on the political spectrum. You should be mad as hell that your government, that your elected officials, and the unelected bureaucrats that work under them, that they hire, that you and I can't fire, okay? That these elected officials and unelected bureaucrats are out here literally stealing from you. They are literally scamming you. We are spending millions of dollars on ridiculous. I saw a list the other day, and I wish I had it in front of me, but I don't. But I saw this ridiculous list that was published of all these different programs that we have funneled money into. Many of them not even here in America. A lot of them overseas programs and things like this. It's ridiculous. Our money, our tax revenue needs to be spent here first. Needs to be. We have a massive homeless population in this country. Yeah. We have a lot of homeless veterans in this country. That shouldn't be. That shouldn't be happening. But yet we'll send millions of dollars to a foreign nation, to a foreign entity, whatever, for some ridiculous, stupid, idiotic, moronic program. And they're throwing your money away and my money away. And every single one of us ought to be angry. This is being uncovered now. The other side is mad because it's being uncovered. They're big mad.
Yeah.
They're crazy mad because it's been uncovered. And a stop is being put to this. But here's the thing, Terry. How deep does this really go?
Well, okay. So one of
how
the things,
deep does this fraud really go?
Right. One part of this program was paying Politico for subscriptions for others, and apparently they are now in hurting status. They can't make payroll or something because the aid, U.S. aid funding for their subscriptions.
So the money went away, and now they're mad about it.
Well, yeah, but it's like I just don't I don't understand that. I mean I get it, but
you and I should not be subsidizing this.
Politico of all organizations. Why? How did technically, what is Politico? What are they? One of like a nonprofit? I've never really.
I don't know if they're a nonprofit or not, but I know they're very left leaning.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Very left leaning, and so it really shouldn't surprise anyone, given the administration of the last 4 years, that they would be somehow profiting from this. But it's still it's an insult to the American taxpayer. It's an insult to the American voter. It's an insult to all of us. And here's the thing, too. All of this waste and this fraud, you can't put all of it on Democrats, and I'm going to tell you why. Because Republicans have had control of the purse strings a number of times over the last 40 years, 50 years. They've had every opportunity in the world to address this, and they haven't done it. They've had every opportunity in the world to actually do something meaningful about it, and they've not done it.
No.
So now all of a sudden you have a president who's come back into office, Trump, and he's brought a couple of people with him that are going through the books and finding all of this nonsense, and we're putting a stop to it. Well, it's like, how's the old saying, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time?
That's right. Yeah.
That's what you got to do here, one bite at a time. Yeah. We're not going to shut everything down all at once. It's not going to be easy to do that. But at the same time, there's clearly there's lots and lots and lots of fraud and waste that can be rooted out and needs to be rooted out and is being rooted out.
Yeah.
But it's going to take a little bit of time to get all this done. Here's my prediction. Trump can probably spend most of the next 3.5 years doing nothing but shutting down all of the garbage that's been going on.
Right.
If we do nothing else. Yeah. Now, a lot of people are saying, well, why aren't we addressing the economy? What's he going to do about the price of eggs? He's not going to do anything about the price of eggs, guys.
Right.
However, there are this is the thing, guys. The government doesn't create anything. It doesn't produce anything. It doesn't create products. It doesn't even deliver services all that great, other than military protection and paving roads and delivering the mail, that kind of thing. Other than that, the government doesn't produce anything. Industry does. The one thing the federal government can do is not engage in stupid policy making that makes it harder. There was a USDA official that was fired a few days ago who allegedly had a hand in ordering the culling of millions of chickens over this bird flu thing.
Right.
And there you go. There's why your egg prices are so stinking high, y'all.
Yeah.
We can't be killing off all the laying hens and not impact the market. I believe personally, this is all being done by design.
Yeah.
The government has got to stop engaging in creating policies that make it more difficult for businesses to do business, that make it more difficult for businesses to create and produce and deliver product and services to the public, whether it's individuals or other businesses, whatever. The government's got to stop doing this.
Yeah.
So one of the things that I hope we're going to see happen with Trump is, no, he's not going to magically fix the price of eggs. No. What he can do is he can fix the bad policy making that leads to these idiotic things happening in the first place.
Well, we don't, and we're not chicken experts, but that's a reason, a part of the reason.
Yes.
Was they probably ended up killing off, in order to keep the spread. That was supposedly the intention. But I don't know. It makes you wonder, well, why would they do that? Because Trump's coming into play, I don't know.
It just all seems very coincidental.
Yeah.
That things start happening the way they happen. I don't think any of this stuff happens by accident, folks. I think there's so much of this is by design.
Yeah.
They want to influence the economy and society in a certain way, and they use policy against you.
Yeah. I do have one concern that I want to voice about Doge and all of this, the things, a lot of the executive orders that Trump has signed.
Elon Musk's involvement and so forth.
Yeah, and it's not really so much that. All right, as I understand it, an executive order, one of the purposes behind an executive order is to clarify things when the law does not address it. Because, laws are, sometimes, as we know, are very imperfect at times.
Yeah.
They can't cover every single situation. But within whatever that authority is that he, as the president, has to clarify policy, how we're going to implement something if it's not addressed, or when it's directly under the executive branch and all of that. So I do have concerns, though, that they maybe touch on or directly go up as in opposition to, like, funding that Congress did approve, right? There's, so I'm not an attorney, clearly I said that, and we're not trying to pretend we know all of that, but it makes me, I want to ask those questions about how is it that it is legal for him to make these kinds of changes that seemingly, maybe on the surface, look like they are in conflict with what Congress had intended, even if it's wrong. And so I just have those questions. But just like that, though, if there's a gray area, I think we should go for it, because the reason is because sometimes stuff doesn't happen until we push it into a court. Because a decision needs to be made, and I've always said this: if our last $1 million in the federal government was at the end of the voting period, that they're trying to get bills passed to meet the budget and all that stuff, if they're down to their last $1 million, and one side says we want to fund veterans programs over here, and then somebody else wants to do research on the, rhesus monkey in the far reaches of the Antarctic or something. And as ridiculous as it might be, if you fought it out ethically, everybody was there, and you everybody, some people get mad over it. In the end, when the vote is done, you go, all right, congratulations, y'all won. We'll catch it the next time. And you're done. You've spent your last $1 million. You haven't gone into debt. That's okay. That's what we do in Texas every 2 years, and in other states. We have to do that. So I'm all for this, and I think we need to push the boundaries. I'm all for that, and for these people to be all angry over one program, which apparently so far looks like it's in there, and looks like that they can do these things within that USAID program. But then on the other side of it, I don't want, I want to be careful about like I want to know more about the access to the Treasury information. I don't think, I hope that they can't just simply stop the checks from flowing. If Elon Musk has that power, I think I have a problem with that.
Well, I think
looking at it though, no.
There's going to be legal challenges. You can almost guarantee there's going to be court challenges to a lot of things that they're doing.
And I want there to be.
And if the courts can come back and say, yeah, they've uncovered something fraudulent here. This is blatant waste here. Then by all means it needs to be stopped. It's got to be. Guys, we cannot keep spinning ourselves into a hole. We just can't do it. We can't do it. We keep hearing talk seems like about every 6 or 8 months about the debt ceiling.
Let's keep raising it. That's what that.
We just keep giving ourselves more headroom to go further and further into debt, rather than addressing what we're spending our money on. Look, guys, you can break it down this simple. In your household, when money becomes tight, you start looking at expenses, you start looking at what you can cut, you start looking at what you can live without. That's what you do. When the money becomes tight and it starts to become a challenge, okay, can I pay the mortgage this month, or do I buy a new car this month? Well, if those, for most of us, that's an easy choice. Got to have a roof over my head. New car, who needs it? Well, I need a roof over my head. Yeah. So you're going to put your priorities in order, and you're going to take care of your home, food, clothing, shelter. You're going to take care of those things first. We're not doing that as a country. We are literally dumping money, good money after bad, on all sorts of stuff here. Take a look. This is the USA, the national debt. This is a real-time representation of the debt clock. We are $36 trillion and counting.
36.5 trillion. And the thing was, what was this at before COVID? Just a few years ago.
I want to say we were probably somewhere closer to 25 trillion.
We can go to Time Machine. They have a little thing. Oh, 2020 right here.
Yep.
Oh my gosh. Look at that. 25, and we've got
11 trillion plus. Now, go back to the real-time clock for a moment. I want to point out something on that clock, and I know it may be hard to see on the screen here, but if you go down, I believe it's toward the bottom right corner there. The number is somewhere around 200 is it 220 some trillion?
The unfunded liabilities.
Yes.
Okay, here, I can zoom in on it.
So
it's 226 trillion. That is trillion. Okay, there's so many,
So basically, this is the national debt plus all of the unfunded mandates that are sitting out there, including Social Security, including Medicare, and pensions.
In other words, by law,
you
automatically happen, and the money has to come out somewhere.
That's the number you're looking at right there.
That's committed down the road, right? That's years down the road.
Can you Terry? Can you even fathom what $225 trillion looks like?
We can't really even fathom what $1 trillion looks like, because that is some huge. There's a number that you can't even. I'm sure there's analogies out there.
I mean, I don't know for a fact, but it would seem to me physically, if you piled up $1 trillion in $100 bills in this building, you probably fill up this entire room that we're sitting in right now, and then some. Easily. Most people cannot even fathom what this looks like physically.
I have to play this exercise, so go ahead.
You can't even calculate it. And the fact of the matter is it just keeps getting worse and worse and worse. And we can sit here all day long. It just boggles my imagination when politicians on both sides of the aisle start talking about expenditures, and they start talking about things in millions of. Well, it's only a few $1 million. Well, it's $100 million project. That's a drop in the bucket. I am so sick of hearing that. I'm tired of hearing that. I am tired of elected officials trivializing the debt that you're committing my children and my grandchildren to, that you've committed us to. I'm tired of you trivializing this. Enough. We're not asking you to take it seriously. We're ordering you to take it seriously. This is a direct order. Do it. Trump, I think, is at least making an attempt here to address some of this.
Yes.
And I think there are people in Congress who genuinely want to address it. But unfortunately, they also have a few people in Congress that are still so addicted to the spending. They're hooked on the credit card, Terry. They won't put the damn thing down. They just keep spending.
To try to give somebody some benefit of the doubt here, do you think that there are people, certainly out in our society, that have become conditioned to that being an entitlement, that's what the government is for, because they've been taught it. And it is not even so much what you teach, it's how you act and what the behavior and what has the government been doing, the acts of actually doing it and providing those money and putting people into a dependency situation. But real quick,
dependency is a great way to describe it.
Yeah. So ChatGPT, I said, simple request, please provide an analogy for what $1 trillion really is. Probably not the best wording, but it responded very well. Here's a mind-blowing analogy, several analogies for what $1 trillion really looks like.
Okay.
Stacking $1 bills.
Okay.
If you stacked 1 trillion $1 bills on top of each other, the pile would reach about, just guess.
30,000 feet?
67,866 miles.
What?
I'm going to fact check. I'm going to leave that. But okay, over a quarter way to the moon. Spending it. If you were to spend $1 million a day since the year 0 AD, you still wouldn't have spent $1 trillion today.
Wow.
Time comparison. 1 million seconds is about 11 and a half days. Okay, is that reasonable?
Okay.
1 billion seconds is 31.7 years. 1 trillion seconds is 31,709 years.
1 trillion seconds would predate the birth of Christ and would predate modern humans probably on the North American continent.
Yeah, let me see if I can.
I think
the calculator
seems
here.
plausible.
So there's a basic, and let's go to convert here, and let's see time. Where's time? Time. Surely there's time here, or maybe not. Yeah, it is time. I want to fact check. So we have a second. Okay, so I am going to all clear. So what did we say? 1 trillion?
1 trillion
seconds. Okay, so, and how many zeros? They have 1, 0, 0, there's 100.
It's too early for me to count like that.
There's 100 million, 100 billion. Well, no, or is that it? That's
100 billion. One more
and
would
then
be
just one more would be the okay.
Trillion.
Okay, let's get. That's okay. How many? That's showing. So we want days. That's 11 million days.
Wow.
Yeah. Which then, how many years would that be? That'd be 31,000. Yeah. Okay, we've 31,709. Yep.
31,709 years.
Because I've had ChatGPT do terrible at math in the past. So I just wanted to. It's gotten better at it.
Here's the thing: we've got all this waste and fraud going on. Okay, if you cut all that out, you save billions of dollars a year.
Yes.
Get the spending under control. There are things that the federal government has no business being involved in. Period.
Man.
Get them out of it. Get them out of the business of just spending money for the sake of spending money.
Yes.
Job number one. That's got to stop. The secret to fixing a bullet wound, number one, stop the bleeding.
You got to triage, yes, and stop the bleeding, yes.
Stop the daggum bleeding.
But you got to find the bleeding first before you know, right? So that's why you have to dig. Sometimes you have to do exploratory surgery, and you open up.
And that's what they're doing. They're doing the exploratory surgery. They're finding the waste. If we can put a stop to, you just do the math on it. If you can wipe out billions of dollars of waste annually over a period of time, you start to save tens, hundreds of billions of dollars, and ultimately $1 trillion.
Yeah.
Now, paying off the national debt. This used to be a headline. We've talked about this before. This used to be a daily, nightly headline on TV, on the news. They talked about it every single night. They stopped doing it years ago.
Yeah.
Years ago, they stopped talking about it.
6 trillion.
Can you imagine? I mean, you think about it, I know people right now that they owe $300,000 on their home, and they got $65,000, $70,000 in credit card debt. And they're sitting there wringing their hands going, how am I going to pay this off? How's our country going to pay off $36 trillion?
That's per citizen. Debt per citizen.
Yep.
107,000 per human being in the United States who's a citizen. I guess we could let's try to spread that out to those who are not here legally. But
we'll just subsidize it.
Debt per taxpayer, because you got kids that aren't taxpayers yet.
Right.
$323,000.
Wow.
U.S. federal spending is $7 trillion. Wow. U.S. federal budget deficit, which is $2 trillion. That right there makes that other number go up all the time. So that's in here psychology of all of this.
Mm-hmm.
We were talking about earlier the dependency that's been created over all this time. Yeah. What is it when there's adversity, when we as human beings experience adversity, and we don't have somebody coming in to swoop under? I mean, I'm all for like when a hurricane. I mean, we're fortunate in that we do. Well, we really don't have the money, but we do allocate some of that. We're basically spending $2 trillion more than we actually get in, but there is money coming in. So we do allocate for emergency situations, and I think those are the extremes. That's why also we have insurance and things for those, But what has happened is that when we come in, when somebody comes in, every single time you run into a problem, you don't learn how to fix the problem. you just continue to expect that money, that knight in shining armor to come back over and over and over.
Right.
And so you don't make any effort to make it better or to try to prevent it, because adversity is just a part of life. And I think you can, I'm quite sure that you can say that you feel comfortable that, yes, I've had my issues and challenges through my life or through your life, but that you also understand there are people who really have it bad.
Oh, yeah.
Whether even in our own country and even worse in some other countries. And so we're thankful for where we're at. And I think it's all in the half full, half empty thing.
Yes.
You're either got negative things about every life that you live and whatever. And understandably, some people just, they've experienced things in life that are terrible. And I think most people can understand where they're coming from if you hear a particular story. But in general, though, most of us don't experience those things on a day-to-day or yearly or annual or regular basis, and we pick ourselves up. But there's enough people who don't do that sort of thing. They've been taught differently. They've had bad circumstances. They've had and all of that. But you need to own your feelings. You need to own your life and not. You're giving it up to somebody else.
Well, it goes back to that word dependency. You've got elected officials that thrive and get reelected upon the premise that you can't do it without them.
Yeah.
You've got to have them. They're the only ones that have the answers, and you've got to rely on them. We've got to stop every single time we see something in our society that we think, no matter what it is that we think is wrong, we have got to stop turning to the government and going, hey, government, you need to do something about it. That's got to stop.
Yep.
We've got to cut the dependency. And I think rooting out all of this wasteful spending is one of the ways in which we can finally put an end to that. Real quick here before we wrap up, Al Sharpton, it's being reported, had led a buy-in to Costco by giving 100 people $25 gift certificates.
Oh, okay, yeah, I get it. He's supporting.
So he's giving them $25
by giving a bunch of people. Okay,
You know, what do you get for $25 at Costco? You get a case of macaroni or something. But anyway,
you get a lot of hot dogs.
Yeah, a lot of
pizza.
$1.35 slices of pizza. But anyway, all of this presumably because they're still supporting DEI programs.
Well, but you know what? I have no issue with a particular company doing what they, now, as long as I guess where I do cross the line on that is, okay, when you hire people, do it because it's the best person qualified. But now some companies think that the best person for a position may have a certain, and you know, what if your population, your primary customer is a particular race? Don't you think, I mean, one thing says that if you had a bunch of white folks, let's say it's a company that makes a product that a lot of African Americans really enjoy, and that's what their thing is. Well, if you had a choice of some white dude who's got this experience, but other experiences this other person has is black, and they are more in tune to that, I don't know that I would have a problem with that if you've got more experience and you understand your market.
If you're hiring somebody
objective, though,
because they bring something to the table that is unique to your industry, and they bring a perspective and an understanding to your industry that benefits you as a company, whatever that may be, okay, that's who you hire.
Right.
You should be hiring strictly on qualifications, experience, maybe education, although I will argue all day long that lengthy experience trumps education anytime.
Well, and some, of course, to be an attorney, you got to have a degree. You
have a law degree, but in most situations, the person who comes to the table with 10 or 15 years of experience in a particular field that benefits your company is probably of greater benefit to you than someone who just stepped out of a college classroom at 22 years old with a 4-year degree.
Right.
They haven't had an opportunity to put that degree into practice yet.
Right.
They don't have that experience under their belt. And anybody who's spent any time at all getting an education knows About 90% of what you learn in a classroom turns out not to really apply out here in the real world anyway.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things out here. There's so many variables. You take your industry and technology. 100 different variables a day can affect everything you do in this store, everything you do in this company. 100 different variables a day, and they can change like that.
Oh yeah.
And you better be able to pivot with the changes. You better. And the experience that someone brings to that element, that's what usually makes the difference in whether you're able to adjust quickly and accordingly or not.
And I will say that an employee who is capable of dealing with change, and that's what's happening right now, is that I think I don't know what the percentage is in the federal government as far as employees are concerned, but this also applies in large companies anyway. When there's a shakeup, that's why you hear so much criticism of a big company cutting 10% of their workforce because they need to survive, and they're going to do what's best for the the tactics and how they do it, and if they're following the law and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, okay, get it. But just flexibility in an employee. If all you are is a one-trick pony and that's all you're going to do, well, I'm looking. People who are more flexible is what I'm likely to be more in tune to now, and to keep you maybe on the. If I have to make a decision on who's going to stay, I'm going to look at who's flexible, who's willing to take the time to learn a little bit more than what they have to look at here. So that's what we've got here is this shakeup. This is a shakeup. This is major change. This is disruption. The Doge is a disruption. And that's good. And in this case, and yes, we may short term. I think even Trump talked about this the other day. He says, yes, there may be some pain for some people through this process, but all of this money, the $6 trillion within the first couple of years that we spent, I think it was like $4 to $6 trillion after, midst of and after COVID. Where did all that money go?
Good question.
You know where it went? It went to Amazon. It went to Lowe's, Home Depot. Yeah. And you can start laying out a lot of other companies that benefited from this.
Yes, they did.
And then but every bit of that money was money we did not have.
That's right.
And so we've given this $107,000 per citizen is in the pockets a great amount of that, a small percentage of, compared to the overall debt. But a small percentage, the $6 trillion over the 30, we're looking at $6 trillion here out of $36 trillion is in the pocket of Amazon and all of those bigger companies right now.
Right.
Not again, through the process of free enterprise, but money was injected into the economy that we did not have, which is partly, of course, why we have the high prices.
And again, the government creates inflation. You and I don't create inflation.
No.
Industry doesn't create inflation. The government creates inflation. Policy, and bad policy at that, is what has led us to where we are.
Right. And of course, we're not economists, but I think that is absolutely right. There's got to be a large percentage of what we see as inflation is definitely that. And then, there's other things. It's the market forces. Nothing. If the chickens, we're sick and we have to destroy a lot of chickens, then that's the market because of just a bad situation. Yeah. Now, should the government come in and subsidize the chicken farmers is the question.
No, they shouldn't.
But that's probably.
But get out of the way and quit making policies that make it more difficult to be the chicken farmer.
Yeah. Well, but the chicken farmer and all the farming is getting consolidated, just like a lot of other industries, and that's the thing. So you've taken Amazon, and we've also made it harder. I mean, this is a whole other show, but. Just economically, what's happened is we've spent all this money and we've made Amazon stronger because of the automations and the ease of use. And then what happens is that the local mom and pops or even the local stores, even nationally, they have to cut back, and so then they have their people are not as good.
Right.
And so then we don't want to go there anymore. So we go to Amazon.
Well, and I of course, you can sit here all day long.
Robert Porter, yeah. sorry.
and argue about the impact that all of this had.
Yeah.
And the good and the bad, but I'll tell you this: at the end of the day, we cannot ever allow what happened in 2020 to ever happen again.
No,
it can never be allowed to happen again. It was we tanked the world economy.
Yeah.
You know, and as Terry said, we're not experts, we're not economists, but I did stay at a Motel 6 once.
Yeah.
So there's that.
So, well, we got to wrap it up.
We got to wrap it up. Thank you for joining us. Yeah, a lot longer.
Trey, yeah.
But thank you for being with us for this episode of Get It Right Tech Summit. It's brought to you by Eddie Hills Fun Cycles, 401 North Scott, downtown Wichita Falls. There since 1966, EddieHillsFunCycles.com. MacTech Solutions at 4020 Ray Road, Suite 3B, right here where we are right now in the MacTech Solutions studios. MacTech-Solutions.com, the website. And Lolly and Pop Sweet Shop, your online bakery at lpsweet.com. That's the website. And on Facebook, Lolly and Pop's, Lollie, Lolly and Pop Sweet Shop on Facebook.
I want the king cake. I've heard about this king cake.
We're working on it. We've got like 40 of those things to deliver in the next 2 weeks.
Well, you better get one of those to us.
We're trying.
Right here. We got baby Jesus in there.
I know. We got to get him out of there. Anyway, thank you for joining us. We appreciate it, guys. Be sure to like our Facebook page and follow us as well on YouTube. And also visit our website, GetItRightTexoma.com. Until next time, take care. We shall see you down the road.